It has been a tough stretch for being a Texas fan, hasn't it? I'm going to take you all the way back to where it began. Colt McCoy runs the option in the national championship game against Alabama. Gets hit by Marcel Darius. I think that was the guy who hit him. And he's injured. Out for the game, doesn't come back. Freshman quarterback, Garrett Gilbert. High school phenom, great high school football player. Comes in for him. Throws a couple of picks, struggles early. Alabama runs the score up 24 to 3, or to 6, excuse me, at halftime. Second half, you think there's no hope, but Jordan Shipley helps this Texas team come alive. Getting open, running his routes perfectly, finding holes in Alabama's defense, and catching everything Garrett Gilbert threw his way. A chance with 3 minutes left to drive, I think like 85 yards, tie the game with a field goal, or win it. We've shut Alabama out in the second half so far, dominating with our defense. Texas gives up the first sack of the game. Garrett Gilbert fumbles the ball. Covered by Alabama inside their own 10-yard line. Mark Ingram, 3rd and goal, runs it in. Puts Alabama up by 10. Game's over. Texas basketball, same here. Start off 17-0. Number 1 team in the nation. Got a great mixture of experience and youth. Justin Mason, Sr., Dexter Pittman, Sr., Doge Balbay, Jr., Damian James, Sr., Gary Johnson, Jr., Avery Bradley, freshman, Jordan Hamilton, freshman, Jovan Brown, freshman, a couple of great guys. 17-0, number 1 in the nation. We lose back-to-back games on the road to Kansas State, on the road at UConn. We collapse. We absolutely collapsed. We lose 11 of our last 17 games, I think. Get an 8 seed in the tournament. Lose to Wake Forest in the first round. Next year, come back. Not really sure what to expect. The team shocks us. Great season for our basketball team. Hit a little rough patch there in the end of the year. Then we get to the NCAA tournament. Get past Oakland. First we were misseeded. Then we get past Oakland. Then a 5-second call, which wasn't 5 seconds. Then an incredible play by a very great player at Arizona. Put them up by 2, I think. It was 2. And then no foul called as Jacoban Brown drives the lane. It was a foul. Gary Johnson afterward trying to get the rebound, pushed out of bounds. No foul. We lose the game. Not to mention that same year, our football squad, 5-7, miss a bowl game for the first time since Mac Brown's been at Texas. 11 consecutive 10-win seasons down the drain. This year in football, a little bit better. 8-5. We had to struggle at times. Couldn't figure out which quarterback was the guy we wanted, even though It's pretty obvious to most of the fans. Case before was a guy that should have been there. Struggled, had injuries. Fozzie Whitaker, tragic ending to what was a great season and a great career for him. A lot of young guys, lost some close games, never gave up. This year in football, or this year in basketball, 13-9. We've lost, I believe I counted 5 games, or 6 I believe, by less than 10 points. 3 games, 5 actually, or 4 games actually, by 5 points or less. Very inexperienced group. Clint Chapman's a senior, Alexi One-Minnie's a senior. Neither one of them have gotten significant playing time throughout their careers. Kelvin Brown is a very experienced junior. This is his first year with the Reigns. Jonathan Holmes, Sheldon McClellan, Julian Lewis, Mike Kabongo, Sterling Gibbs, Jalen Bond, all freshmen. The team has fought and fought and fought against teams better than them all year long. But we have nothing, literally nothing to show for it. No key wins. To be honest, our best win is probably either Texas A&M or early, I think it was our first game against Boston University, who made the tournament last year. We returned 4 or 5 starters from that team. Those are our 2 best wins. Those aren't going to be enough to get us into the tournament. What this team's got to do is we have got to beat somebody. We've got Baylor at home. We've got Kansas on the road. We've got Texas A&M on the road. Those are really the only tough games we've got left. We've got to beat those weak teams in the conference. We've got to beat Baylor at home. No doubt that we have got to beat Baylor. We could have beaten Kansas State if not for a turnover by Mike Kabongo. I think when I look back at the game against Missouri and the game against Kansas, I think when it all comes down to it, you really can't point out one play in either one of those games necessarily where you can just say, hey, we lost it here. I think we just lost to 2 superior teams in those 2 games. That's my take on it. Excuse me. We've got to beat those weaker teams at home. The weaker teams in the conference. Not saying weaker than us, but just the bottom teams in the conference. We've got to beat those teams at home. And we've just got to beat those teams, period. We've got to beat Oklahoma. We've got to beat Oklahoma State. We've got to beat Texas Tech. Play them Saturday. We play them again later in the season. And we've got to beat Oklahoma again. We've got to beat Texas A&M. We've got to beat Kansas State at home. We've got to beat Baylor at home. We can drop it. We can drop the game to Kansas if we can win all those other ones. But right now, I think looking at the schedule, we can really only lose one more game. And that's the last game of the year to Kansas. That's the only game That's the only game that I realistically see us being able to lose and still getting into the tournament, unless of course we lose to. And if we could beat all 3 of those teams and drop one to a lesser opponent, hey, that's fine by me. Then we'd have 3 big victories. But we really don't have a big win. Maybe you can count UCLA this season as a big win, as a good win, a solid win. Maybe. I don't know. It's been a rough stretch. Right now we have 13 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances on the line. These guys have got to start winning some of these close games. They fight hard. I hope we can. sorry, that's my sister. I hope that we can keep this streak alive. I hope we can keep this group together next year. I mean, we're going to lose Winmany, we're going to lose Chapman. We've got a few good prospects coming in. I hope we can keep these guys together because they've got so much fight, they've got so much heart, a lot of talent. It's been a tough stretch for us Longhorns. I know there's a lot of other teams out there who would love to have this kind of tough stretch where we've still made the tournament 2 years in a row. You know, we're in the championship game and then we lost, or then we made it back after missing a bowl game 1 year, but it's been tough. I have faith in this team. I think that we can get to the tournament, and if we get there, I think all these close games and playing in such a tough conference would give us the ability to come out and shock some teams, surprise some teams, upset some teams, be kind of a bracket buster as maybe an 8 to 12 seed. It'd be fun. It'd be great. I think Jacob Brown, if we got to the tournament, would just explode. He was great in last year's tournament. So let's see. Hook 'em horns, Texas fight.